school today. It's a beautiful, beautiful school. And it's a strange experience for me. I graduated from high school in 1971. And it's a little different. It's kind of a humbling experience, to be honest with you. But it's very interesting. You have a lovely campus. I'm going to speak a little bit about the music business in general. And then after that, I'll speak a little bit about my own personal career. Music business is a little different than getting certified or a degree to do something like to practice medicine, or to become a CPA, an accountant, or even to do what your teacher does, and that's teach school. Because there's no set formula. What works for one artist does not always work for another one. What worked for Taylor Swift wouldn't have worked for Janis Joplin. What works for Beyonce wouldn't have worked at all for Linda Ronstadt. I bet you guys don't even know who she is. So there's two ways, basically, to get into the music business. You can either get in it from the inside out or from the outside in. Let me explain. From the outside in, what that means is you get with a couple of guys, maybe some buddies, you form a band. That's the way a lot of people get in the music business, myself included. And you start a band up, people like your band, you go and you play places, pay to play places nowadays, and you start to make a name for yourself. After that, maybe your band gets picked up by a label, not too many of those left, and you actually get to the point where you get some recognition. Another way that happens is, even though you're in a band, you find that you have a talent for producing, or you find you have a talent for being in the studio and helping other people make their records. And a lot of times that's how those people get their jobs. Now, that's one way. The other way is to get in it by going to school and getting certified, getting a degree, and learning music the proper and the correct way. That is an absolute essential if you want to teach music. If you want to work in a capacity where you actually learn how to read and write music. That's always a good idea. The other way is how most people get into it that I know and that I work with. But whichever way that you choose, once you do get into it, once you decide to make it your career, it's almost essential that you have something else that you do besides the music. It's very, very, very important. You need something to fall back on, because you don't work all the time. You don't do music all the time, and you're not getting paid all the time, unless you've written some really substantial material, and then you get royalties. Now, I'll go into a little bit about the support group of what a typical artist would have to have. The first thing that you need is you have to have a manager. The second thing is, besides a manager, you have a publicist, okay? The third thing, this is somebody who's on their way a little bit. The third thing that you need to have is you need to have an accountant. You have to have an accountant. The fourth thing that you need is you have to have a lawyer. Everybody that's pretty happening, pretty much involved, pretty much making music for a living, they have those things. The manager doesn't set up dates for you. That's what the booking agent does. You have to have a booking agent, a lawyer, a manager, and a publicist. That's the things that you have to have. They all do different things. They all have different functions that they do, and then that leaves you to go ahead and to do the music. Now, my own personal experience, and like I said, everybody's is different. My own personal experiences starts quite a while ago, because I was born into a musical family, and I just had the good fortune to be brought up in a musical family, and I played. My brother, you probably know, played. My mom, my dad, my grandparents, everybody played music. So in my particular situation, I was involved for a real long time in local bands, playing Hollywood, playing around in this area. And it didn't really happen for me. It was something that I worked on very hard, but I got kind of like lost in the shuffle. There was so many bands back in the 70s and in the 80s, and I was just one of thousands of them. I got a little bit of good fortune in that I got 2 record deals back when record companies were really record companies, and I got 2 deals. I think that probably everything that I've made from those 2 records is less than $20. Less than $20. It's really, really difficult to actually be somebody that works in the music business and you actually can support yourself, especially a family. That is a rarity. So that goes back to what I said before. You need to have something you fall back on. It doesn't have to be the favorite thing that you do, but if you can do something else well, that is a big, big plus. A big plus. If you really have to do music, if you cannot do anything else but music, and that's your passion, you'll always fall back to that. You'll always go back to it. You'll say, well, I quit. I'm not going to do this anymore. Hasn't done me any good. I'm going to walk away from it. If it's really in your blood, you'll keep coming back to it. It happened to me. I was a milkman for a while. I didn't do any music. No one knew who I was, and I was just delivering milk to hospitals. And somehow, even though I swore it off and promised my wife I'd never do music again, it found its way back to me. Crazy. Really, really, really insane. In my situation, in the beginning of the 90s, I did something kind of radically different. I went to another country to be in a rock band, and I lived in Brazil for a while. Well, there I made less than 20 cruzeiros. Here I made less than $20. So I was having fun, but I still wasn't making any money. I was just putting in all this time and effort, and I really wasn't secure at all in a financial way. In fact, I was like extremely poor. Well, the years rolled by, and I decided to branch out into another kind of music. I still do rock and I still sing rock, but what I decided to get involved with, this was about 10 years ago, is I decided to get involved with classical piano music, which to this day is my passion and is which I really, really, really love to do. Getting involved in that, getting involved in the piano music, what that did was it gave me something that I really love to do whether I make money or not. And guess what? I actually make a little bit of money off of it. I can put a product out and expect to make more than $20. However, classical is really not the way to go if you're into it for money. It has to be a passion type of thing, because so few people can really make money just doing classical music. Now, lately, what's happened, to bring us up to speed, lately what's happened is I've gotten a lot of recognition lately because I work with another guy named Kelle, 2 Kellys, and we do a lot of work now, and we're getting contracts. I'm going to Japan in March, for example, and it's kind of like a really long way around the barn, what happened with me. But the time factor is not that unusual. If you go into this and you think that you're going to make a lot of money and you're going to be real successful, don't expect it anytime soon. Don't hold your breath. It can take a real long time. For piano, it takes somebody about 10 years to get to the point from where they start to being able to go out and to actually concertize and to do concerts and stuff like that.